The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer not coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city. Instead, one more day here on Radio Row, getting ready for Super Bowl 59. Shout out to the folks at LeBear's Baton Rouge for making it possible. It's been an awesome week, and we got 2 more hours until we shut things down, at least for my show. Then Matt's going to come on from 3 to 6 immediately following. Friday show is brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. We've got a ton to do over the next 2 hours. Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the 1s and 2s. Paul Hembekides, Hembo from ESPN Radio and ESPN Television, going to be with us in 15 minutes. We'll have Ricky Cobb from Outkick in hour number 2. Steve Levy from ESPN may stop by here, may stop by during Matt's show, just a kind of a situation of when he can make that work. Troy Jones with Status Pro is going to join us at the end of hour number 2 to close out the show. That's the virtual reality system that Jaden Daniels has used to train, and I think it's going to be a really fascinating conversation, so very much looking forward to that. We'll start the show the same way we do each and every day with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
Very much looking forward to this conversation and excited to welcome to the show Anil Nathan, an Air Force veteran who's with Military 250. They've been all over the place here this week. And Neil, appreciate some time. Appreciate you could stopping by here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So it's been a busy week for everybody involved, but y'all have kind of been hosting over there on that side of the room and kind of walking around. What has this week been like for y'all?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, it's been awesome to be back in New Orleans. It's been a few years for me personally, and but the city has been fantastic. We've been here the entire week, like you were saying, and yeah, I mean, Radio Row. It's obviously a spectacle in and of itself, and it's sightseeing and people seeing and all that type of stuff. But yeah, we've had a great week so far. Got to have a lot of really great conversations, both talking to folks about Military 250 as well as kind of learning about what they're doing. And so, yeah, overall, very, very happy with how the week's gone.
Let's do that right off the top. Tell us about Military 250.
Yeah, Military 250. So, a lot of people don't know this, or at least it's not top of mind, but this year is actually the 250th birthday of the Army, Navy, and Marine Corps. So, obviously, most people know next year is the 250th birthday of the country, but the year before, 1776 and 1775 is when, the Army, Navy, and Marine Corps were formed. And so, obviously, a big milestone for our country, for those service branches, and also for everybody who has served honorably, men and women, for generations now in this country. And we're an organization of veterans and military family members, and our goal is to kind of take advantage of the focus and the celebration around the 250th birthday of these services, and use that as a means of, the way we say it is, honor service through service, right? So, trying to spread the word to the veteran and military family community as well as Americans writ large about ways that they can honor the service of the 250 years that have come behind them to actually serve their communities and country in new ways moving forward.
So you're a first-generation American, second-generation Air Force vet. Your father was drafted into Vietnam, and now all of a sudden you, in a second generation, have decided to serve as well. Talk me through that part of your story.
Yeah, I mean, it's very integral to how I think about myself as an American, how I think about myself as somebody who has served. But as you mentioned, so my father moved here from India in the late 60s, and during that period when the draft was in place, you didn't have to be a citizen to be drafted. And so he was drafted. He had the opportunity to defer for academic reasons, but he said, you know what, I'm planning to plant my roots here and raise a family here, and so I'm willing to serve. And so he ended up spending 24 years on active duty in the Air Force. Wow. And so that was obviously a big part of my life growing up, and had a big impression on me. And very much as I thought about what I wanted to do with my life, serving was a core part of that, and so kind of followed in the footsteps.
That's an incredible American story there, for sure. One of the things as I was looking over y'all's organization and the things that y'all have done this week was back on Wednesday when y'all had the Super Bowl Experience exhibit, and it featured NFL players who have served in the military. Now, I watch a lot of football. I cover football, and I don't ever think about NFL players who have served in the military. Is that a bigger number than I think?
Yeah, it's a really good point, and actually, it's one of those things that we actually don't have a full grasp, on the total number of NFL players who have then transitioned to go serve in the military, or kind of the inverse, veterans, people who served in the military and then went into the NFL. But there's a larger number that most people appreciate, and there's some big names, right? Like Roger Staubach, obviously legendary quarterback, served in the military. We had Jeremy Stott, Pat Tillman, obviously somebody who a lot of people know for his sacrifice. We actually had Clint Bruce, who was a NFL player who started his career, was an NFL player, went to the Naval Academy, played in the NFL, and then left to go join the SEALs. Nate Boyer, another great example. So there are definitely names of people. But yeah, it's one of those, there's so many connections between the veteran or the military community and football, right? And you can just think about, what's more American than football and the military, right? Just even on that level, but also the kind of connections of the mission focus and the way that people think about wearing uniform and working in small group as a team and kind of being really focused on a singular mission. I think we've started to learn more and more as we've engaged with the NFL and other players about those connections, but definitely something that we want to shine more of a spotlight on.
Chatting with Neil Nathan, Air Force veteran here representing Military 250. They've been here all week. You mentioned what's more American than football and the armed forces, and I was thinking when you said your story about your father coming here and being drafted and thinking, well, I don't have to do this, but I want to plant roots here. That is the most American thing I can think of, and you would think that the Super Bowl is as American as we get, and that is exactly, and I'm glad you said that because I had the exact same thought. And as I was looking over some of the talking points that y'all provided here, one of them was part of this Military 250 organization that you've got that was talking about 250 concrete ways that Americans can engage. Can you maybe shed some light on some of that? Because I'm certain that the people listening are thinking, that's something I should probably think about. Yeah,
it's, I think one of the big things that is important for us to emphasize, and we've done this for campaigns that we've run in the past, with the veteran and military family community, but it's this concept that you don't have to wear a uniform to serve, right? And that applies to the veteran and military family community in the sense that, once you take off your uniform, there are still ways to serve if you want to continue serving, and it's more just about highlighting what those opportunities are. But for all Americans, right, you don't have to volunteer to join the military to be in service of your community or your country. And there are tons of organizations, really incredible organizations like the Salute to Service Partners with the NFL. So think about Wounded Warrior Project, USO, TAPS. These organizations have opportunities where any American can volunteer to provide their time to with the USO, for example, kind of engaging and supporting, pulling together care packages to send to military members who are downrange or overseas. But even things like volunteering at your local soup kitchen, it doesn't have to be military related. I think those are the things that we just want to bring it to everybody's attention, that there are very small things you can do that have a really big impact when we all do them together. And so that's part of the concept of these 250 actions is let's just put a bunch of opportunities out there for people to, if they see it, maybe they'll say, you know what, actually, I'm going to sign up. I'm going to find an opportunity to take advantage of that.
Tell me about the Vet the Vote initiative.
Yeah, Vet the Vote was a campaign that we ran in 2022 and 2024 that was focused on recruiting veterans and military family members to serve as poll workers. So a lot of people, I think it's become more and more part of the understanding, but for elections to run freely and fairly, you need citizens to volunteer their time to actually check in voters and help make the process run smoothly. And that's been an increasing challenge to fill those roles, especially after COVID. Typically, you think about it when you go vote, you think of kind of the old ladies that in your community, right? And they've done it for years and years because they feel a sense of purpose around it, and it's an incredible service to the community. But obviously, we need a new generation of people to step up to continue to work elections. And so, from our standpoint, it was what better community is there to tap into than the veteran and military family community, who are clearly patriots who have served their country before. Let's create an opportunity for them to do that again. We had an incredibly successful campaign last year in partnership with the NFL, NASCAR, NBA, a bunch of other organizations. We recruited over 163,000 people to sign up. It was kind of proof that this belief that we had that if we make the call to action known, that the veteran and military family community is going to step up to serve again, and that's what we're trying to do here with Military 250.
That's fantastic. Who are some of the folks that you've had a chance to sit down and talk to this week?
Yeah, we let's see. I got a chance to talk to Chris Myers, legendary sports broadcaster, who actually I didn't know this until we chatted, but he his dad was on the beaches of Normandy in World War II.
Wow.
So incredible kind of story of service there. Got to chat with Daryl Johnston, Moose Johnston, legendary Cowboys player. Yeah, we've had Nate Boyer, got the chance to talk to him. But no, it's been a great great opportunity to speak to a bunch of folks. We didn't get a chance to speak to him. Actually, we spoke to Trace. Oh man, I'm going to miss his last name. Basketball player for LSU.
Okay,
Trace Jones.
He's He's got a large social media following.
Yeah.
He's all over the place.
He sat down and chatted with us, and I'm a huge. I grew up in Maryland, so I'm a huge Washington Commanders fan.
Wow,
and
we can talk about that.
Yeah, so I mean, Jaden Daniels. I'm now by proxy an LSU fan.
You're
exactly.
welcome.
So we didn't get a chance to chat with him, but we saw him walking by, and it was like, oh man, there's hope in the world.
Look, I have a guest on every Monday who does sports talk in DC, and he was just talking about the transformation that Jaden has done mentally on all the Commanders fans, because it's just been such a tortured existence for so long, and you feel like you finally broke through. Yeah,
I just did a hit with a radio station in DC, and we were talking about that. I mean, it is incredible the shift in feeling about and football. It's a game, but it also means a lot to a lot of people, right? And obviously, in LSU, I'm sure that's true with the entire community there. But it has been a total 180 in the way that thought about football and how excited we are for the future. Well, Neil, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Let people know where they can go to get involved. Yeah, so the best place to our website, which is mil250.org, mil250.org, so MIL, the numbers 250.org. There you can get a lot of information about the campaign. We're using this week as kind of the kickoff for it, so a lot more to come through our social channels, through activations with the NFL and some of our other partners. So you'll definitely be seeing more information about it, but that's the best place to start. Thank you so much, first of all, for your service. Thanks for taking a little time with us today. Thank you. That is Anil Nathan, Air Force veteran here for Military 250. We got a lot to do over the next hour and change. Paul Hembekides from ESPN, just a quick tease here. This conversation's from a little bit earlier. It was one of the better conversations I've had this week. I really, really enjoyed it. I think you will too. Come back with us on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends March 5th, 2025.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Friday, Super Bowl's getting closer. We've been here all week on Radio Row. Thanks to the folks at LePaire's Baton Rouge for making that happen. Lots of interesting conversations. Very much looking forward to our next one. Paul Hembekides has been with ESPN for a decade. Mike and Mike, Greeny, Get Up, best-selling author. Name your choice, whatever it is. You can find him a lot of different places, better known as Hembo. We appreciate some time, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. It is a pleasure. I'm a lifelong Eagles fan.
We're going to talk about that.
So being here in New Orleans for the Super Bowl is kind of surreal for me, but I'm actually facing something of a quandary because, as you might expect, because you listen to me on the air, unfortunately, so you know about all my super weird proclivities, I don't like watching games with other people.
Okay.
Other people don't like watching games with me. Am I just going to watch the Super Bowl in a hotel room by myself?
You're going to be here.
I'm going to be here because we're doing Get Up on Monday.
Okay.
So I'm spending the weekend here.
I know who you work for. You can't get in the game?
I can't get in the game. I mean, look, Fox has the game this year.
Correct.
They don't just give away ESPN people credentials, all right? Us lesser thans, right?
Okay.
They're not doing that, us peasants. So I'm going to have to watch the game on TV, just like everybody else, and I have to figure out exactly how I'm going to do that. So that is a quandary that I'm facing this weekend.
Well, you got some time. You got a couple of days.
I
want to say, so you have spent the last few years, Sneaky Hembo Trivia is one of the segments that y'all do on various shows, and you've been attempting to stump ex-athletes, journalists, experts. That's kind of one of your things. For the last 10 and a half years, in a Baton Rouge sports bar, have been attempting to stump 20-year-old drunk people.
Okay.
So it's not the same, but it is the same. So I want to hear about what your favorite kind of resources are to look up trivia questions. Like, I'm like a baseball reference. I'm not afraid to say every once in a while I'll dip into the Wikipedia zone. But, do you have, an ESPN stats department that really helps you? How do you get those questions? Okay. Help me with this.
So first of all, I'm glad to hear that you don't ID down here for all these 20-year-old drunks at the bar. So that's a good place to start.
I didn't even think anything of it when I said that. Not even a thing.
I pick up on all the stupid things. So God's honest truth is that I don't really have a system.
Okay.
Everything just occurs to me. Everything just comes to me. And when you've done this as long as we have, you obviously know often where to start. So this week it couldn't possibly be easier. I'm asking fairly generic historical Super Bowl questions. But what I always like to ask myself is, what kind of question can I ask that is as easy as it could possibly be and they still get it wrong. Because obviously, I could ask some or any obscure question for which the answer is somebody in Super Bowl VII that you've never heard of.
Correct.
But that's not interesting. Like, how am I going to best serve the audience? In the end, stumping Dan Graziano or Rex Ryan or Dominique Foxworth is fun. But we're serving our audience. We're not serving our talent. So what I like to do is ask questions that the audience has a genuine chance to get right themselves. I want to ask a question for which, if they don't know it, they can formulate an educated guess based upon 5 minutes of deductive reasoning. I can't tell you how many people know me because of that one single thing, that get-up trivia question where I get, 15 seconds of airtime every single day.
I want to know who is your biggest nemesis.
I hate Dan Graziano with a burning passion of 1,000 suns. He is an absolute assassin. So I am not exactly like the kind of encyclopedic person that people often think I am. Like, I can't rattle through all 120 World Series champions in my head. Like, my strength is research. I can find anything that you want. But I don't have that kind of recall the way that he does. Dan Graziano can retain a piece of information from 50 years ago, and it will never leave him. And so he also has the ability to deduce exactly like why I'm asking it and where I want him to go, and then he zags the other way. So that guy is an absolute Martian. So of all the people that I try and stump, he by far I hate the most.
Is it easy to get Greenberg?
It is not as easy to get Greenberg as I'd like it to be, certainly. Greenberg is actually much stronger when it comes to questions in the 70s and 80s, because I don't know if you're anything like me, you remember things so vividly from your more formative years, whereas things like games that happened last week or 3 weeks ago, I ask myself, wait, that just happened 3 weeks ago? But if you ask me to recount something that happened in the 2008 World Series when I was a lot younger and I had the ability to retain information more as I'm building up my encyclopedia, it's always easier for me to look back, and so Greeny's no exception. I ask him something about the 1978 Steelers, he nails it. I ask him something about the 2023 Niners, and he misses it. That's how he rolls.
Hembekides, Hembo is our guest here on the Hunt Palmer Show, here from Radio Row, presented by LeBear's Baton Rouge. Is there a particular nugget that you've dug up on this game that is interesting to you?
Yes. So the Eagles this season have produced 47 more explosive plays than their opponents. So I think explosive play margin is a very significant stat and probably a more predictive one than turnover margin, because it's a lot less random. It's a lot less chancy. It's a lot less environmentally dependent. How well you create and limit explosive plays might be the most important attribute of any football team right now, and the Eagles are plus 47 in that area this season. That includes the playoffs. The Chiefs are minus 16. The Chiefs have been out-explosive played, if you will, by 16 in relation to their opponent this season. Those are pretty staggering numbers. So if you're one that believes that this game could be won or lost in the world of chunk plays, long touchdowns, it definitely favors the Eagles. Now, if the Kansas City Chiefs have a few tricks up their sleeve offensively, perhaps involving Xavier Worthy, which is very possible, or if Spags devotes all of his resources to ensuring that Philly does not beat him over the top or right up the middle via Saquon Barkley, for lack of a better term, then those are stats that could be nullified. But if you're looking at the sort of paper popper type stat, the most defining numbers from this game, to me, that is one that most definitely advantages the Eagles.
That makes me start thinking, because obviously Philly and Kansas City are such phenomenal organizations. We're down here in New Orleans, in Baton Rouge. We cover the Saints, who could not reinvent themselves when Drew Brees moved on. The Chiefs were the most explosive team anybody had ever seen 5-7 years ago, and now they're kind of plod along and play defense. Philly was ground with Jalen Hurts. They obviously had Saquon Barkley. Now they're more explosive. They reinvented themselves. The Saints are searching to do that and can't do it. That, to me, that's what it says to me when I hear you give that statistic.
These are organizational success stories. Yeah. So the Kansas City Chiefs can beat you however you want to lose. The Philadelphia Eagles signed Saquon Barkley and changed their identity. They entered the Super Bowl with more rushing yards than passing yards. The last Super Bowl champion with that profile was the Steelers in 1975. I mean, are you serious? That team also, ironically, built on the back of a Penn State running back, just like this Eagles team. But the elasticity that each of these organizations have, not just in terms of their game plan, their preparation, but 30,000-foot, big picture team building and roster acquisition and player procurement, that to me is what really sets the Eagles and the Chiefs apart. It's no coincidence that they're annually successful and that they're meeting in the Super Bowl for the second time in 3 years.
I'm really excited about it. It's going to be a fantastic game coming up on Sunday. I'm curious about this. You're a Philly guy, as you mentioned. I want to know the city of Philadelphia's feelings toward both of these head coaches today. Give me that, because I'm fascinated by the Sirianni thing where he had a bad month last year. Yeah. Andy Reid was good there, but not good enough, and then he leaves. What do they think about both of those guys?
So the answer to this question is very complicated. We'll start with Andy Reid. I think everything changed when the Eagles won the Super Bowl in 2017, when Doug Peterson beat Bill Belichick. That was the proverbial monkey off of our back. The Eagles had never won a Super Bowl, ever. So this is in 2017. So the Eagles go to the Super Bowl in 1980 and lose. The Eagles go to the Super Bowl in 2004 and lose. The Eagles go to 4 consecutive NFC Championship games with Andy Reid. They enjoyed immense success with Andy Reid. But when he left, he was not viewed as the coach he is now. And for the people that argue that Philly was stupid to let him go, or that they would have been better off retaining him and continuing to sort of grind through that sort of down period, they're dead wrong. Andy Reid would never have become this in Philadelphia. In fact, I think the fact that Jeffrey Lurie hired Doug Peterson, who won a Super Bowl, hired Nick Sirianni, who might well win a Super Bowl and has been to 2 in the last 3 years, is another sign of organizational success. That guy's uniquely good at hiring head coaches. And even though Nick Sirianni is, we'll call it, a highly successful head coach with a really bad publicist, the city of Philadelphia does identify with him. I don't think we love him, but we do like him in large part because he's a lot like us. We see a lot of ourselves in Nick Sirianni, who acts like the village idiot, but behind closed doors, the players adore him, and he is not afraid to be the bad guy. My favorite thing about Nick Sirianni is that this year he has decided, I don't have to pretend like I'm the smartest man in the room. And there are way too many coaches in the NFL that try and prove that week in and week out.
Let's talk food. You've been here since Wednesday. I know you're looking for a place to go, places to see.
Yeah.
What are we looking for? We want a po' boy. Are we looking for fried seafood? I mean, are we looking for gumbo? What do we? Let me help you. Help me help you.
Okay, so let's flip the script here. If you were coming to Philadelphia, I would obviously direct you to where you're going to get a good roast pork sandwich and a good cheesesteak and all the particulars there. Good water ice, all the things that we major in and specialize in. Good Philly pretzel, all that stuff. What I want to do is enjoy all of the delicacies that New Orleans has to offer without it becoming my gastrointestinal Waterloo. Okay, so that's what I want to happen here. So this weekend, I'm staying for the weekend. I'm doing Get Up on Monday. I'm going to spend countless hours at the World War II Museum Saturday and Sunday because that's how I roll. That's how I like to spend my free time. But I also want to eat well without having catastrophic issues, if you know what I mean.
I
need you to point me in the right direction. What do I need to get and what do I need to avoid?
That's difficult because we don't specialize in healthy, get on with your day kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like you get a good meal here, it's going to take a minute to get back into action. So
action?
I would say my favorite po' boy in this city is at Parkway. Now, most stuff is contained right here. That's the beauty of New Orleans.
I can walk it.
You can't walk to Parkway.
Okay.
You're going to need to get in a 15-minute car ride.
Okay.
It's in mid-city, but it's easily to do. They've got the special Parkway. It's got fried shrimp and roast beef with gravy on it. It's phenomenal.
Okay, so I need to follow up here because I've been, I don't know if reliably or unreliably informed that you can get different things in a po' boy.
Yes.
So you're telling me shrimp is what I should prioritize.
The Parkway special has roast beef and shrimp.
Roast beef and shrimp is not a combination I thought I'd ever see in the year of our Lord.
Well, it's the best sandwich in the city.
You believe it's the best sandwich in the
love
city.
it
So the combination
dearly.
of roast beef and shrimp slaps.
Yes, but you can do either or, and that would be perfectly fine.
Talk me through the jumbo and the gumbo and the jambalaya.
Okay, I can handle. I love jambalaya. I like homemade jambalaya more than general restaurant jambalaya. But gumbo, I actually like at home more too. But
interesting.
Herb Saint to me has the best gumbo in the city. Herb Saint, Herb Saint.
Okay,
very good.
I'm attracted to it. I'm just always worried about brown foods that are very soft, and it seems to me that that's the only thing that you guys eat here, right? You eat brown, soft food here. I'm reticent.
I've never heard it said that way, but yeah, that
I'm
is
just being very
generally
literal,
correct.
right?
Yeah, I mean, seafood is not if you don't fry it. So if you want to go to one of the phenomenal restaurants down here that are generally Antoine's, Arnaud's, Galatoire's, these are the staples of New Orleans.
I prefer to use my teeth when I eat. Po' boy. So
po' boy, you will be using your teeth. Yes.
Where do you stand on oysters and shellfish, like things of that nature?
So I will eat if someone at the table orders some charbroiled oysters. I'm gonna eat one.
Charbroiled.
Yes.
That's a very difficult word to say.
It's on the grill and there's flames and there's butter involved and they top it with a lot of different stuff. I will eat it. I'm not gonna order it.
You're not gonna order it.
I don't love it.
So what's your go-to order?
I mean, for an appetizer, generally speaking, I'm going to get gumbo down here.
You're going to get gumbo.
And I love fried oysters, but then we get back to soft and brown, which we know we have an issue with.
Everything's soft and brown.
Oh, man, you're really putting me
Where
on the
can I
spot
get a good
there.
salad?
I don't know. I have no idea. I've lived here my entire life. I don't know who has a good salad.
I need to buy a multivitamin before I go out to eat this weekend.
That's correct. Just space out your meals. Make sure you don't have to do anything within the next 90 minutes after you're done, and you'll be fine. It's okay. It's the weekend, right?
That's right. That's right. The weekend I can probably afford to take these chances.
What's your confidence level in your Eagles on Sunday?
The Eagles are going to win the game by multiple possessions.
Okay.
The Eagles are a demonstrably better football team 1 through 53. Now, I obviously understand the greatness of Patrick Mahomes is a thing, right? So it was also a thing the 2 times Brady beat him. It was also a thing the 1 time Joe Burrow and the Bengals beat him. We can't act as if Patrick Mahomes is somehow infallible. He is not. Patrick Mahomes is still man, not deity. And so as I look at this game, would you agree with me that Philly has a better offensive line?
I would.
A better defensive line?
I would slightly, but yes.
The Eagles have, when you look at their wide receivers, their backs, their tight ends, better skill guys.
Yeah.
They have a better back 7 too, right? Linebackers and secondary. So you're just going to sit here and tell me that if the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win this game, it's going to be because of coach and quarterback. That's a perfectly fair argument. But to me, that's not football analysis, right? That's not a circle that I can square personally.
Sure.
And look, even removing my biases, and by the way, I am a Negadelphian, so I typically pick against the Eagles more than consensus do because I'm really close to it, and I'm that kind of fan. I don't once said Philadelphia to thrill of victory one day and the agony of reading about it the next. That's Philly, and that's the kind of Philadelphia fan that I am. But ultimately, the Eagles are going to win this game by multiple City in the Super Bowl, whatever it was, 4 years ago.
Looking very much forward to it. Really appreciate
it.
Hembo over at ESPN. Been there a decade. We appreciate a little bit of time. Hembekides. We'll see if we can't put him on the right scent for a little bit of and shrimp. Speaking of soft and brown, they got both of those covered, and it's fantastic, as I tried to express to him, but he was a little bit reticent. I could send him up the road to Corks. That'd be just fine. Got a fantastic. They bring you our Friday shows each and every week. We're, of course, brought to you by LeBaron. A half. We still got tons and tons to get to. I've got some prop bets that I'm looking at in the Super Bowl. I had to call Hester over a second ago to make sure one of these prop bets was right. He confirmed it was. Plus, we got a lot to do in hour number 2. And Asamoah, linebacker for the Minnesota Vikings, who in the semifinal, you know how that went.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com is the website. Every car that is on the lot is online at Genesis of Baton Rouge. How about a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty? Sound pretty good? How about 3 years of complimentary maintenance? Sound pretty good? That's all part of the experience when you buy a Genesis. I told you about that complimentary maintenance for 3 years. It's also valet maintenance. You don't have to lift a finger. Nobody loves going to the dealership and having your car serviced and sitting there on the aisle and watching Price is Right, and that's half your day. You don't have to do that when it comes to Genesis of Baton Rouge. They will come to you. They'll leave you a loaner so you can get on about your day. They'll take your car back to the dealership. They'll handle your oil change. They'll handle your tire rotation, your air filter, whatever the case may be. They'll bring it back to you. You never miss a beat. That's the beauty of being a Genesis driver. If you haven't getting behind the wheel of a Genesis, never been to the dealership at Airline and PQ, just put it on your list. Get on by Genesis of Baton Rouge. As I mentioned, Airline at PQ in Baton Rouge. Every car that's on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. genesisofbatonrouge.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Big shout out to Hembo for giving us a little bit of his time here on this Friday. We're brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on Fridays, and of course, LeVert's Baton Rouge, allowing us to be here on Radio Row all week long. Super Bowl is coming up on Sunday, and I figured that's the day that a lot of folks are going to put a few nickels on the game, most wagered upon day of the year. And so I've got some thoughts on 5 props. I always do this for Super Bowls, throw $20 at each of these props and see kind of what the return can be. So I'll toss these up back, and you can tell me how you feel about them individually. First one is just a feeling on the game. It's certainly not going to get me rich, nor will it get you rich unless you bet lots and lots and lots of dollars on it because it's negative odds. But I like the under in this game. 48.5 is the number right now. I think these defenses are awesome. I don't think that the Eagles are going to be able to break off the explosive plays they have a lot of the season against this Chiefs defense. And I think the Chiefs have shown they're not very explosive. So I think these drives are going to take a long time. I think the Eagles are going to run the ball. And I like under 48.5. The line on that's minus 110. So $20 only wins $18.18. But I like the under. Beck, how do you feel about that?
It's Taylor Pinch hitting for Beck today, but I love the under in this game. It's probably my favorite play because, look, like you mentioned, Saquon, they're going to give him the ball a lot, but on the same side, Kansas City has 18 straight postseason games without allowing a 100-yard rusher, but James Cook killed him in the AFC Championship game. They should have went to him a lot more. I think that's what Philly's going to do. I think Hurts is continuing to get healthier and healthier. I think they're going to run the ball a lot. Yeah, the under in this game for sure is the play.
All right, I got a second one here. The octopus, which I learned about today. I think this is a new betting term because everybody goes for 2 all the time. If you score the touchdown and you are the person who converts the 2-point conversion, that's called an octopus. If somebody does that in the game, you get plus 1,300 on it. I can bet $20 to win $260. I got a mobile quarterback in Jalen Hurts who could do it with a tush push and a run. I got Saquon Barkley that could do it. I got Mahomes who could throw to Kelsey. I like the chances that somebody could do it at the plus 1,300 odds. So give me $20 to win $260 there. How do we feel about it?
I like it, but I don't know if I'm going. I don't know if I'm going Hurts or Mahomes because I don't know if your odds are that great with them. I'll tell you who I like for this: Xavier Worthy. They throw it to him a lot, but they also give him a lot of end arounds and short yardage situations. I like Xavier Worthy for the octopus.
We'll see. $20 here on players to throw a pass. This is the standard in the Super Bowl. You have 2 weeks to prepare. Somebody puts a trick play in where somebody throws it another time. Your odds are only plus 160, so $20 to win 32 on that. But if you get a quarterback hurt or you get a trick play, this thing hits. That's why the odds aren't super good. But I like over 2.5 players to throw a pass. This one I don't love as much. It's a bit of a hedge against the under, but it's got good odds, so I'll take it in case my underplay doesn't hit. Each team to score a touchdown and a field goal in both halves. That is plus 1,400. So if I throw $20 at it, 280 are coming back here. Again, I don't know that I love the bet, but if I'm putting together a package here, I think the fact that I can hedge against my under is good on that one. How do we feel about that one, Taylor?
I love it. I mean, the field goal touchdown, I believe that's happened in each of the last 2 Super Bowls, touchdown field goal by each team in each half. That is one of my favorite plays as well.
And then I just thought these odds were remarkably long based on the personnel here. $20 to win $400 for the longest rush of the game to come from Isaiah Pacheco. I know he's not their starting running back, but he's going to get like 6 or 7 carries plus 2,000? Like, that seems like a ridiculous odds for 20 to win 400. So I'll take Isaiah Pacheco for the longest rush of the game. I realize Saquon's probably going to get that, but I'll take a running back with a propensity for big plays plus 2,000. That sounds good to me.
Yeah, and what you mentioned, it's got to be the Saquon aspect of this, right? Like, he's busted off 60, 70-yard runs in the playoffs. But to your point, like, he's their starting running back. Kareem Hunt hasn't really been a big home run hitter for him either. And, I mean, I mentioned Xavier Worthy earlier, but he doesn't get a ton of carries. I mean, that's got to be pretty good odds for Isaiah Pacheco.
I'm trying to see if I can go back and see what Saquon's I can't see what the odds are for Saquon to be the longest rush. I'm sure it's probably minus or plus 110 at the very most. Plus 2,000. Give me all that for Pacheco. I love that. So my 5 plays here for $20 a piece. Under 45.5. Player to get an octopus plus 1,300. More than 2 players to throw a pass plus 160. Each team for a touchdown and a field goal in each half plus 1,400. And then Pacheco longest rush plus 2,000. All right, those are my plays for the game coming up on Sunday. Very much looking forward to our next segment here. Vikings linebacker Brian Asamoah is going to join us. I've got a number of things I'd like to cover with him. Obviously played for a great Vikings team this year. Obviously plays with Justin Jefferson. Saw Justin Jefferson score 4 touchdowns against his Oklahoma Sooners in 2019. And he played with Jalen Hurts in college as well. So lots I'd like to get to here with Brian Asamoah, and we'll have him coming up to close out hour number 1. Steve Levy maybe by in the second hour. Ricky Cobb from Outkick we're expecting in about 15 minutes. And then Troy Jones with Status Pro VR, the virtual reality simulator, is scheduled to be with us in the second half as well. So we are far from done here, even though we're winding down the week. We got a lot to get to over the next hour and 15 minutes. Lock us in on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you. Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends March 5th, 2025.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Wrapping up hour number 1, we're here on Radio Row, Super Bowl 59 coming at you on Sunday. LeBear's Baton Rouge made this possible for us all week long. Now our pleasure to welcome to the show Brian Asamoah. Asamoah. I looked it up. It said Asamoah on the chat AI. Said it was Asamoah.
Messed up. You gotta go
I figured it might be. Asamoah. There we go. All right, Asamoah. He's here either way, and we're thrilled that you're here. Congratulations on a fantastic season up there with the Vikings. I know it ended a little bit more quickly than y'all would have liked, but it was, I mean, I kept looking up on Sunday, like, Vikings won again.
Yeah,
it was a great year for y'all.
It was a great year, man. Sucks that it ended so quickly because I think that we had one of the best teams out there in the league. But unfortunate, we got to find ways to win, and unfortunately we didn't do that.
So we're local in Baton Rouge. Yep. We're partial to Justin Jefferson. I'd imagine for you, an Oklahoma Sooner on the 2019 team, that you like it when he's on your team in purple and gold instead of looking across the sideline at him.
No, can you imagine, him what he did that game to just him doing what he's doing now and in the NFL is crazy. Like, he's an unbelievable football player, and playing with him is unbelievable, man, because I get to go out there every Sunday and just see what he does, and it's going to find ways to help the team win for sure. He's
fantastic. You obviously played in college with Jalen Hurts, who's got a chance on Sunday to do something really, really special. Could you see that in him in college?
Yeah. I always tell this story. After Jalen Hurts' first game as an Oklahoma Sooner, I saw him in the weight room at 9 p.m. after the game, like getting some work in. So I knew the work ethic was always there, and I knew that Jalen Hurts was going to be special because of how he carried himself in the facility, in the building. Like, he was a well-respected individual because of the work he puts in every single day. And it won't be no surprise or no shocker to see him go out there and achieve something that, he's been there before, and he knows what it takes. So he's got to go out there and beat the champ.
His story's incredible, just from what he went through at Alabama, being replaced in the national championship game, having to come back in the SEC championship game, and they came so close a couple years ago. He'll get another shot at it here. I want to talk about a couple things that you're here discussing. Flag football coming to the Olympics, and you're involved with the Ghana flag football team. Your parents from there. You spent a year there, as you told me off the air. Tell me about it and what's your involvement there.
Honestly, this is an unbelievable opportunity that I'm extremely excited about. Let's talk about flag football in general. Like, flag football is a growing sport. It's growing globally. So, in doing so, I was able to create a flag football league in my hometown, Accra, Ghana. I have a U14 league full of 10 teams, and they're just competing against each other and finding ways to, help make each other better. But in doing so, my goal was to create an avenue for these kids throughout my league. So now the avenue for the kids is to go through my league and then get assigned to the Ghana national flag football team, pending on how they do and how they continue to progress. But having the chance to spearhead this mission and be the general manager of finding a team, creating a team, finding a coach, and doing all this, man, it's exciting because this is going to help the kids, man. This is going to help the kids have equal opportunity to achieve their dreams and their goals and aspirations of what they want to do in life.
Is this the first time kids in Ghana have seen a football? I mean, I would have no idea.
It's growing. So I was there 15 years ago.
Right.
I grew up there for a year at the age of 10, right? So when I talked about American football, or I said football back then, they were like, no, there's no such thing as football other than soccer.
Soccer, yeah.
So just to see the transition and how it has grown exponentially to where it is now, like, it is unbelievable. And the sky is only the limit to see how far this thing can go, and I want to be the one to put it in my hands so that this is continuously growing and these kids have opportunities.
Tell me about who's coaching, because this has got to, I mean, this is not like a high school in America. You got to get people to go there that know what they're doing.
Yeah, this is a very detailed thing that we're trying to orchestrate. We are actually finding the coaches right now, putting coaches through a process of interviews. But again, this is not something that's easy. This is something that is going to require a lot. And the thing that we need the most is fundraising. We lack funding right now, and that is a way to help this thing grow. If you're all about the growth of sports, if you're all about the equal opportunity, right? Like, let's help these kids have an opportunity, because the skill set and abilities are there. They just lack a platform.
Right.
So, man, if you want to help me, man, let's donate to my foundation, BrianAsamoah.com, and go to my fundraising link. You'll see it on there, and donate however much you can, however much you have, man. Donate to seeing these kids have equal opportunities as these kids in America, and showcase their real, true, God-given ability, which is ridiculous.
You spell Asamoah there, Asamoah.
Yes.
What's next for
Perfect,
you?
Brian,
There
yes.
you go. What's next for you, NFL-wise? What do you need to work on, and what's next for the Vikings next year?
Going into my 4th year, we know how important that is. Just another year of growth. Clean up the simple fundamentals. I think going into year 4, man, you got to know your responsibility. And luckily, I'm in another defense that I've been able to be in now for a 3rd year. But no, just cleaning up the mistakes, doing what I do best, and is just flying around making plays within the scheme. And you'll see, God willing, I'll be having another great season.
Sounds awesome. Give me a pick on the game before you get out of here. I know that you're familiar with both of these teams.
Yeah, it's kind of tough. It's hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes. I did it last year, and he found a way. So I would be crazy to bet against him again, but I really want Saquon and Jalen Hurts and that whole Eagles organization to get one. But it's just very hard to bet against the Chiefs.
I think a lot of folks are pulling for Jalen Hurts in this game, as I mentioned, because of that story, and yours is fantastic as well. Best of luck with the foundation. Best of luck with that flag football team. Maybe get a medal here in the Olympics coming up. There you go. There you go. And best of luck to you and the Vikings next year. We appreciate some time.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate you.
That's Brian Asamoah, linebacker for the Minnesota Vikings. Man, it's been an incredible run here this week, and I've got a lot going on in the next hour, so I may not get a chance to do this folks because we got a lot of guests that are coming through. But I do want to thank the folks at Guarantee for making this possible for us all week long. It's been an incredible experience for us to have these conversations, to see these people be involved in the things that we've been involved with. And it's just been a ton of fun for us to have all 3 shows here all week long. So it's one of those weeks that I think I'll remember this one for a long time, just because it's something that we've never had a chance to do. This is not something we would generally do as a station in Las Vegas or Miami. We just get the chance because we're down the road here in New Orleans, and it's just been a ton of fun. So we can't thank the folks at LeBerge enough for making it possible, and certainly can't thank the folks at Guarantee who have made this possible for us enough. It's been a ton of fun. So we got a ton to do in hour number 2 coming up here. We will chat with Steve Levy at 2:30 from Course ESPN, Troy Jones, who's with Status Pro VR, Ricky Cobb, who is with the folks over at Outkick. So it's a lot of two in hour number 2 coming up here on this Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. If you missed anything that we've done today or really all week long, you can catch it on demand, 1045 ESPN.com's on-demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google. Wherever you find your sound, you can always find us. Just search Hunt Palmer Show, looking for LSU coverage. Hunt on LSU, looking for Saints coverage, Hunt on Saints, and certainly our full shows are available on YouTube as well each and every day. Special thanks to the folks back in production. That's Taylor today, Beck, Cassie, all those folks who have been with us all week long to kind of make this possible. I was talking with Jake and T-Bob today. It's just we're kind of here, and when they turn the camera on and the mic on and we rock and roll, but they're handling everything behind the scenes and are making that happen, and certainly Bo Wegman has been integral in that as well. So we appreciate all those, and I wanted to sneak that into the back end of this hour because we're going to have guests like kind of wall-to-wall in the second hour here as we kind of wind things down. It was a little bit slower on Monday, a little bit slower on Tuesday, ratcheted up on Wednesday, and then reached a fever pitch on Thursday, and here we are on this Friday. So I hope you're enjoying it. Thanks to the folks at Corks for making our Friday shows possible. If you're looking for a po' boy in town today, no better spot than to find Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. They're on Government between Foster and Jefferson, and they are a great partner of ours each and every Friday. We'll step aside for Sports Center and come back with a lot more. One more hour to go. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio Video Security Solutions, avssla.com is the website. Whether it's your audio needs, video needs, or certainly your security, Audio Video Security Solutions has got you covered. Nothing's more important than the security and safety of your family. And for the Palmers here, we use Audio Video Security Solutions for our burglar alarm, for our camera system. All of it is installed by Richard Fisher and his team at Audio Video Security Solutions. 24 hours a day, I can look at my phone. I can see the video of my front door. I can see the video of my back door. We can set and disarm the alarm remotely 24 hours a day. I don't pay any cloud storage fees. Can rewind, pause, zoom in. All that is made possible by the folks at AVSS. And the customer service after the installation has been phenomenal for them as well. It's Audio Video Security Solutions. You can find them on Instagram at AVSS_BR. And you can find them online at avssla.com. That's my friends at Audio Video Security Solutions.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers.
Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown. Just a little more than 48 hours now until kickoff for Super Bowl 59 between the Chiefs and the Eagles. Dolphins wideout Tyreek Hill is in New Orleans for the game.
Just really down here to support my former team, Kansas City Chiefs, hoping to see, Patrick Mahomes three-peat. I think that's something that needs to happen. I feel like he's our football GOAT right now anyway, so I just want to go to the game and just be able to just witness greatness, man.
Tyreek Hill on ESPN Radio today. Hill says he's happy and in a great situation in Miami, but misses his former teammates in Kansas City. 2-time Super Bowl champ Howard Twilley has died. Twilley played on back-to-back title teams with the Dolphins, including the undefeated team in 1972. ESPN has learned Ben Simmons is finalizing a buyout with the Nets so he can become a free agent. He plans to meet soon with the Cavaliers and Clippers. Luka Doncic plans to make his Lakers debut Monday night at home against the Jazz.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman, and coming up Monday, I'll tell you all the small things I saw from this weekend that you might have missed. It's on Sportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2, Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Our last hour here on the Hunt Palmer Show here from Radio Row. It has been a wild, wild week for our first time here for the Super Bowl. We're getting ready for Super Bowl 59. Our pleasure now to welcome to the show Ricky Cobb from Outkick. Ricky, we were just talking off the air. This is your first chance at Radio Row as well. It's been a whirlwind for us. How have you handled things?
Hunt, it's been crazy, man. I appreciate you having me on. I've got a sense of wonderment like a little kid walking into this big convention center and looking around, seeing so many famous broadcasters, athletes. SpongeBob and Patrick are walking around. It's insane.
So we've got a good spot in the sense that we're right behind National ESPN Radio. We're right next to the McAfee set, which, by the way, is always 4 people deep while he's doing whatever he's doing over there. And then USA Today is right here, and they've gotten everybody. So we've seen every famous person there is. They don't generally sit here all that often, but we have seen them all here.
They're teasing you, huh?
So we're obviously in Baton Rouge, and Joe Burrow was sitting right there 25 feet from us yesterday, and Rivers, who's been doing an awesome job running gas for us this week, walked over to and tapped the handler while and she kind of looked, and the handler just turned and said, no.
Come on now. No, that's
like
on,
we're Baton Rouge. Like
that's
we
on
would
Joe
like
Burrow.
that.
That's on Joe Burrow.
Joe's a busy man. He's got a lot going on.
Come on now,
but
Joe.
it's been a blast of a week for us. Hopefully it has been the same for you. You got a really interesting story. You were a sociology professor, and now you're on Outkick, musing sports and pop culture and whatnot. Tell me how you got into all this.
Well, dude, I was a college professor for 21 years. I resigned from that job when I took the Outkick gig last August. I created this Twitter account, it's X now, Super 70 Sports, about 10, 11 years ago. Thought it was just going to be something I'd do for fun, just a hobby. Maybe my friends would follow along a little bit, think it was funny. And I had no aspirations for it to be anything. Just create. I don't even know why I created it, honestly. I don't know. I was looking for something to do. I was bored, I guess. And it ended up changing my life, man. Here I am now. I should have been in a classroom somewhere today.
Did you like it in the classroom?
I did. I loved it. I loved it. It was a great career for me, and over 2 decades, 21 years. They're teaching, and I was blessed to do it. It was great. I enjoyed it, but you only live once, and 21 years is a long time to do anything. I kind of understand, and it's almost like the career span of an athlete. If
you're a great one.
If you're a great one. I'm not saying I was a great teacher. I was a great teacher.
There you
Might
go.
as well
You
say,
toot your own horn.
Yeah, I was pretty good, but 21 years. You just think, I loved it. It's nothing against it, but it was time for something new. And how many of these kinds of opportunities fall in your lap? So I thought, you know what? I don't want to look back from the old folks' home one day and say that I was afraid to do it. So here we are.
Here we are. How much of it had to do with the tweet with Howard Cosell and Bruce Jenner and O.J. Simpson? Because that's one I remember that from the internet popping up, and obviously I follow the account. So how much of it had to do with that one?
That helped a lot, to tell you the truth. That one helped a lot. It was 2017. I tweeted that on my 46th birthday.
Okay.
In 2017.
For those unfamiliar, it was a picture of Howard Cosell and Bruce Jenner and O.J. Simpson from the...
I think it was Battle of the Network Stars.
Okay, in the 70s.
70, like maybe 77.
And it said if I could fast forward 30 years, you wouldn't believe this. And so that was it just went viral on the internet, obviously.
That's the one that I for the rest of my life, that's the one I'll be trying to top. Probably never will.
The magnum opus, as they say.
Yeah, I tell people that's my Hey Jude. If I was a band, that would be the encore.
So what? Do you prefer the sports side of it? Do you prefer the pop culture? Do you prefer the humor? I know that Outkick's kind of varies all of that. What kind of is your lane? Would you say?
Yeah, it's a mix. I think my lane on Super 70s has been sports and humor.
Right.
And of course, we touch on a lot of other stuff. People say, "Well, why did you name it Super 70s Sports?" At the time, I thought that I was just going to tweet about sports in the 70s. And then you find out that, well, I want to talk about the shag carpet that we had when I was a kid. I want to talk about those big gas guzzling cars that everybody was driving, and everybody was smoking cigarettes, even on airplanes and in restaurants and all of that. And so I thought, well, why limit it? And then if there was something interesting that happened in 1982, why can't I talk about that? And so I sort of forged a path that was a little broader than the name, but sports and comedy is at the heart of it, and culture, obviously Outkick. There's a lot of culture stuff that we integrate into that, and that's a great fit for me because I get to talk about the kinds of things on my show that I would talk about with my buddies if we were hanging out.
What were your formative interests from a sports perspective? I'm assuming in the 70s, were you a big fan of one team, one athlete? What got you into sports?
Well, when I fell in love with sports, 1978 was really the year that I fell in love with sports. University of Kentucky, and I grew up in Horse Cave, Kentucky, and if you live outside of Louisville, Kentucky's your team. And so my grandfather roped me into that at a young age. Kentucky won the national championship when I was 6.
Okay.
And I remember that was huge. And then I was a New York Yankees fan because, again, we didn't have a team in Kentucky.
Right.
And I thought Reggie Jackson was the coolest guy that there was.
Reggie Jackson was the coolest guy.
Yeah, so I became a Yankees fan, and they won the World Series that year. So I thought,
charmed existence.
Yeah, when I was 7 years old, I thought that I thought, oh my gosh, my favorite teams are going to win everything. I found out differently as I got older, but that was really the beginning of me loving sports. That 1978 baseball season where the Yankees came back from, 14 games behind the Red Sox.
I'm just going to guess Billy Martin was the manager. Is that a reasonable guess?
Billy Martin got fired that year.
Well, which time?
He was involved. Yeah. Bob Lemon took over and took him to the World Series. But Brian Doyle, who was a utility infielder, if you look him up, career 161 hitter, I think. The Yankees second baseman then was Willie Randolph. He got hurt. Brian Doyle filled in the World Series, went 7 for 16, and we had a parade for him in Horse Cave, Kentucky. After the World Series, I played Little League ball in Brian Doyle Ballpark.
Okay.
I remember he came into the classroom when I was in second grade, and so what a world. Reggie Jackson, the Yankees, and a dude that, lived in my town was on the team. So I was hooked as a sports fan after that.
Have you maintained your Kentucky basketball and Yankees fandom, or is that dissipated over the years?
Well, I moved on from the Yankees when Reggie signed with the California Angels in 1982. I was more of a Reggie Jackson fan than a Yankees fan, so I went with Reggie. I'm a Cubs fan.
I'm a diehard.
Now.
I'm a diehard Cubs fan. WGN got into my living room in the 90s. Sammy started hitting homers, and that was the end of that.
That's it. Harry Carey and Steve Stone. I would come in the afternoons. We got cable TV when I was in, I think, like 4th or 5th grade. And so WGN, this was the most exotic thing in the world to me. You mean I can watch a team every day? And so I would get in from school. The Cubs would be in the second inning. I'd get myself a snack and park myself in front of the TV and watch the Cubs.
I would run to the kitchen table every summer morning and pick the Shreveport Times up, Shreveport, Louisiana, North Louisiana, and I would go to the living section that had the TV guide in it, and I would go to WGN and I would go over, and if at 1:20 it said MLB baseball, my whole day was made. And if it wasn't, my whole day was ruined. And so and then Sosa again started hitting home runs, and then I was locked in forever.
When the Cubs were at home, you had it made because you could watch the Cubs in the afternoon and then watch the Atlanta Braves.
That's right, and I've got good friends that are Braves fans for sure.
I was always so pissed when the Cubs played the Braves.
Are we going to be any good this year?
I wouldn't get our hopes up.
I'd like to get my hopes up. Pitchers and catchers report tomorrow. I'd like to get my hopes up.
I mean, we got 2016, man.
Trust
you know
me,
what?
I know.
We're playing with house money for the rest of our lives because I didn't think that was ever going to happen.
Who are some of the folks you've been able to talk to on the Outkick desk this week?
Oh, man, it's been great. Yesterday I had Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah. Oh, I saw Lawrence. I told people on the air yesterday, the first two people I saw when I walked in were Lawrence Taylor and Joe Montana. I was like, well, this is interesting.
I didn't see Montana. LT told me a great Montana story yesterday, but I had Rod Woodson, Champ Bailey, Trey Wingo was over there. I think I interviewed 13 people over the last 2 days.
What did Lawrence Taylor have to say? I'm assuming he wasn't talking about the water boy. I'm sure he had something more interesting to talk about than that.
Well, I asked him, he's the last guy who was a defensive player to win MVP.
Okay.
And so I think 17 out of the last 18 MVPs have been quarterbacks. And I said, LT, is there ever going to be another defensive player? Is it going to happen? He said, well, you can't play the same kind of defense that I played in the modern game with worrying about where your head's at and where you strike people. And he said, there was one time in my career, Joe Montana was going to the sideline. We were talking about Patrick Mahomes. He said Montana was going to the sideline, and he said I eased up on him, and Joe turned and got about another 15 yards down the sideline. And he said, I told him after the game, if you ever do that again, I'm going to effing kill you. And he said,
I believe him, too.
And he said that apparently Joe did, too, because he said Montana apologized to him.
Oh, it's just a little bit of a different time. It is a little bit of a different time. But like you mentioned, it's just been crazy to see the folks walking around that we have seen walking around. Montana was right over here. And you can tell when folks are walking because they've got like this entourage of like 15 people that are handling, moving them around. And I'm sure y'all have had a ton of fun over there. Have you enjoyed New Orleans?
Man, this is a great city.
This
is only the second time I've ever been here, but I love the atmosphere. I feel the same way now that I did 24 years ago the first time I came here. It's like I got to come back to New Orleans, but I got to come back a lot sooner than another. I'll be too old in 24 more years, so I got to get back down here in the next couple of years because this city has so much to offer. And in the 3 days I'm here running around, hosting the show and getting these interviews and stuff, haven't been able to see as much of it as I would like. But I did get down to Bourbon Street a couple of nights ago. Okay. Had a nice time walking around. We did a little man on the street stuff, interviewed a few fans, and was able to hear a little bit of live music and soak in some of the atmosphere. So
did you get anything to eat?
I did. I had a nice steak a couple of nights ago. Clay Travis took a bunch of us out to dinner, and shout out to Clay for that.
Yep.
Got myself a nice cut of steak. That was awfully good. I think I didn't know what it was at the time that I ate it, but I guess it was a crawfish beignet.
Okay, that's excellent.
Okay, I didn't know what they were, but I thought that looks good.
It's fried bread with crawfish and enter on it. So it's going to work.
It was good stuff. So yeah, the food down here. I had burnt. I had barbecued burnt ends on mac and cheese last night, and that was good. The only problem is if I was down here for very long, I gained 30 pounds real quick.
It can be an issue. It can be a real issue, especially we talk to college kids who come down when we're covering LSU and whatnot. If they're not from here and this is a little bit new for them, it can be intimidating.
The freshman 15 is real in this area.
On the other side of things, we had an LSU athlete. This was back in 2019, who said that they said, "How did you lose the 25 pounds?" And he said, "I quit eating rice in my gumbo. I just eat the gumbo without the rice." Well, if that'll knock 20 pounds off, whatever the case may be.
Whatever works for you.
He's Ricky Cobb. I know you got a flight to catch back up to Chicago. We appreciate some time. Safe travels.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Ricky Cobb. Of course, you know him from Super 70 Sports on Twitter. He is with Outkick and that team. Great conversation there with him. Funny guy and a Cubs fan, kindred spirit. He tells me not to get my hopes up. Guess what? I'm going to get my hopes up because I think we got a pretty good team, and I'm going to get my hopes up. That's just the way that it goes this time of year. So despite what he has to say, those are the breaks. All right, we got a lot to do. Steve Levy from ESPN is supposed to be with us here in about 15 minutes. I haven't talked a ton about the actual results of the Super Bowl all week long, so I might as well do that while we still got some time. And that's not all we got with Steve Levy. We've also got Troy Jones with Status Pro Virtual Reality. That's what Jaden Daniels uses to train. We'll talk to him about that later on in the show. So come back with us. It is a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. When you think Genesis, think luxury. There may be other brands of luxury vehicles that come to mind more frequently because they've been around longer. Genesis of Baton Rouge has only been at Airline and Pico for about 2 years. You may not have been to the store. You may not have gotten behind the wheel of a Genesis. If you're looking for a new vehicle, just give them a shot. You're going to be on Airline Highway anyway because everybody who's buying a car in Baton Rouge is. Might as well make the one stop right across from Women's Hospital at Genesis of Baton Rouge. Every single car in the line of vehicles, all of them, received the IIHA Top Safety Pick. Some of them got the Top Safety Pick Plus. Safety's important, style's important, comfort's important. They've got it all over there at Genesis of Baton Rouge. Every car that's on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. genesisofbatonrouge.com.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends March 5th, 2025.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
You're hosting a Super Bowl party coming up on Sunday. Need to feed a big group? Corks, awesome spot to do that. They can certainly feed you in bulk. Get those big trays of crispy fried catfish, jumbo Gulf shrimp, crispy shoestring fries as well, and get your honey butter rolls. Don't forget the beignet bites. If you want to do po' boys, they can make that happen for you as well. You can find the menu online at corksfishandshrimp.com. Corks, bringing you our Friday shows each and every week. I guess it's time for me to pick this game because Steve Levy is going to join us here in about 10 minutes. Of course, he of ESPN. He's been at ESPN since 1993. We'll talk to Steve in 10 minutes. And then Troy Jones with Status Pro VR is going to be with us to finish off the show. So it's time for me, I guess, to pick this game. I've given this a ton of thought. Honestly, we've been here all week. And you hear kind of the same two things over and over and over again. Don't bet against Mahomes. Don't bet against Mahomes. Don't bet against Mahomes. And then you hear people say that they think Philly has a better roster. And oftentimes you hear people say both of those two things. And I see both of where they're coming from. Now, Paul Hembekides was with us earlier, and he's an Eagles guy, but he was with us and was like, look, Philly's better everywhere. And just saying, well, don't bet against Mahomes is not really a football breakdown. It's just kind of a train of thought. And I get where he's coming from, too. I can see all the sides of this, okay? But Philadelphia's got a phenomenal offensive line. They've got the best running back on the planet. They've got 2 wide receivers who can absolutely eviscerate you on the outside. Their quarterback is not as good as Kansas City's, and I would suggest he's on a couple of tiers down. But he's still tough to deal with because he can throw the deep ball. He can hurt you badly on 3rd and 6 by tucking it and getting a few yards. They run that tush-push, which will get you 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 time and time and time again. And it's not like Philly's like some Johnny-come-lately here. They were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. They were like 10-1 last year before the absolute sky fell. And then they had a phenomenal year this year and got the 2 seed in the NFC. As I continue to look at this game, I just like Philadelphia more. Now, candidly, I have been saying every single Monday, it feels like, on this show, and some Fridays leading into the weekend, like, man, Kansas City won 21-17 again. They can't keep doing this. Kansas City won 24-20. They can't keep doing this. Kansas City won 21-20 with the last-second field goal. They can't keep doing this. And then they kept doing it. So I understand that I'm keeping my hand firmly planted on the burning stove. I'm just not pulling it off. It's cooking. I can smell the burning flesh. It's a nightmare. But I'm just going to keep it on there because I think that Philly's going to run the ball. I think that Philly may hit a big play or two. I think that Philly has a better roster throughout. I think that the Kansas City Chiefs offense, specifically on the outside at wide receiver, is, for this level of the sport, limited. Maybe not in October against a generic NFL team, not against the Saints, but this is a team that I think is better than the sum of its parts, and the Eagles have a better sum when you put their parts together. So I think that there's a real chance that the Eagles go off as a favorite in this game, that over the course of the weekend the number flips from 1.5 to the other side and the Eagles are potentially favored. I'm willing to take that chance. I do think it's low scoring. I told you one of my best plays for this game was under 48.5. Taylor agreed with that when we asked him. I'm not too proud to come on Monday and go, yep, I'm an idiot. 15 weeks in a row, I just kept saying the Chiefs weren't going to get it done, and they just kept getting it done. And I'll be perfectly happy if the Chiefs do win because I'm happy to watch history. I've told you all since Monday, I'm not sick of watching the Chiefs be awesome. I'm in awe of the Chiefs being awesome, and it's probably because I don't have a true NFL dog in the fight. I don't have one to the extent that most of you do with the Saints. I, of course, want the Bengals to win, and I, of course, want the Commanders to win. But that's just a stupid, blind loyalty that showed up 2 and 5 years ago. But I just like watching the Chiefs win. I think it's phenomenal to watch history. And so I'll be fine if they do win. And I'm not, like, pulling for Jalen Hurts because he's got Alabama blood in him. But I think they're going to win. I think the Eagles are going to win. I'm not as confident as Hembo was in the first hour. He said they would win by multiple possessions. But I think they are going to win because I just think they're better. And I think they'll show that. I don't think they'll run away like they did against Washington because Kansas City's not going to turn the ball over 5 times. That's out of the question with Mahomes. But I think that Philly's got some guys on the interior that could give the Chiefs some problems, and they could get into Mahomes' face a little bit. And I think the Eagles are good enough on the outside not to get beat by those Chiefs' weapons. I think they're going to win. I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 24-17, something like that. And I think the Eagles win it by a touchdown. So that's my pick for this Super Bowl. I think there's been I think on my show, I can't speak for Off the Bench and for Matt's show, but on my show, I think that there's been probably a 70-30 Chiefs lean. I'm going to go the other direction. I'm going to go with Philly in this game, and I think the Eagles get it done. I think Jalen Hurts does something that's really important for him to get over the hump from, yeah, good, but not quite good enough. I mentioned that yesterday. Yeah, good enough to be the starting quarterback for Alabama and not quite good enough to hold off Tua. Good enough to be the starting quarterback at Oklahoma and put up great numbers, not quite good enough to beat LSU. Good enough to be one of the front runners for MVP, but not quite good enough to win the Super Bowl 2 years ago. And good enough to get into the spot again, but maybe not quite good enough. I think he is good enough. I think they will get this done on the back of that running game and some explosive plays from 2 damn good wide receivers who happen to play their college football in the SEC. So that's my pick. I'm taking the Philadelphia Eagles to win Super Bowl 59. All right, we're going to step aside. We'll take a timeout when we come back. Steve Levy, who's been with ESPN for more than 30 years. He'll jump aboard. That's next on the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. I was talking to David yesterday at breakfast about some of the things that he sees quite frequently when he's assessing a situation and feels the need to make a change. And that's if you're looking at your bathroom and you've got fiberglass that just can't be cleaned, it's been in there for a while, it's dirty, it's cloudy, it's foggy, and you just can't get in there and clean it. Well, you need to change that. Put in a new shower, put in a new tub. He does that all the time. Sometimes there's a leak that causes damage, can even be affecting the foundation if you just haven't gone in there and gotten a new plumbing situation put together. And David's got a master plumber right there on staff at One Bath and Closets. It may be time for you to go to your bathroom and make some significant changes. You don't have to move to improve your living situation. You can just go ahead and call One Bath and Closets. You can start at the website onebathandclosets.com. Start with that free consultation. They've got financing available up to 18 months interest-free, same as cash. It's all there online at onebathandclosets.com. It's David Duvall and One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, We've only got one. You. Auctioneer Andrews Institute. Long live you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Huge shout out to the folks at LeBerge Baton Rouge for making this entire week possible for our entire staff here at 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. They've allowed us to be on Radio Row starting Monday at 7 a.m. and we'll wrap things up coming at 6 o'clock today. And, man, it's been an incredible amount of fun for us and has been enlightening. We've talked to a lot of interesting people. You always figure you're going to talk to some athletes this thing, but talking to veterans and talking to different media personalities has been enjoyable as well. And we have a great conversation coming up with Troy Jones of Status Pro VR. It's virtual reality, one of the systems that Jaden Daniels used to do some training. So we'll talk to him in 15 minutes from right now. That'll wrap up our show here on this Friday. Matt's going to drive you home on After Further View coming up from 3 to 6. So very much looking forward to that conversation. I know that that Jaden has done a ton of work on virtual reality, and it's kind of the new frontier for training. I've seen Dan Orlovsky do some of this as well when on set at ESPN, where they can put a play in that a defense ran and show exactly what a quarterback saw virtually and show that on television. And that, to me, was just so cool to watch because you can, one, figure out the reads that the quarterback is going through and the deception that the defense is attempting to use, and two, you can see the speed of the game as well, and it's just incredibly eye-opening to watch some of that stuff. And I can't pretend to know exactly how they figure all that out, but it's just really cool to see. And clearly, Jaden Daniels has used it exceptionally well when you consider just how quick his reads are, just how decisive he is with the football. and you realize he's doing something right. And some of that is obviously God-given. He's got a fast processing mind, eyes that can do it with that speed, and then he's just got a lot of reps under his belt. Very few college quarterbacks can be able to play as many games as Jaden did as a starting quarterback to start for 5 years. Doesn't happen all that much, but I'm fascinated by the entire application of this virtual reality system, and we'll talk to Troy Jones from Status Pro VR a little bit later on in about 15 minutes from right now. It's been a busy show. Open things up with our conversation with Military 250, which was fantastic at the top of the show. Paul Hembekides gave us about 15 minutes back at 1:15. Big-time Eagles fan as well as ESPN personality. He was great. Gave you some prop bets as well, which we'll probably lose, but you can check him out. And Brian Asamoah was great enough with some of his time at 1:45. It's now our pleasure to welcome in veteran at ESPN since 1993.
Whoa,
Steve Levy will join us. No, I didn't say that. I said veteran.
A nice way of saying that. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing very well.
Good to see
Hunt
you.
Palmer, it's great to see you. I'm guessing, now this is our first Super Bowl on Radio Row.
Yeah.
We're in Baton Rouge, and we come down the road here to New Orleans an hour. Guessing this is not Super Bowl #1 for you.
No, actually, I have to count it up every year, and I can't believe how many I've actually been to. I'm so fortunate. I've been to, this is my 19th consecutive.
Wow.
Got to call 3 of them internationally, which was really cool. And I went to 3 prior to coming to ESPN, 1 as a fan. So very lucky. You know, anybody who goes to 1 Super Bowl gets pretty lucky, man. And so to go to so many, I'm continue to be blessed and always say I'm the luckiest guy in our industry. And it's been great.
Do you have 1 or 2 locations that are your favorite to travel to?
Glad you asked. Honestly, this is my favorite Super Bowl city.
I'd love to hear that.
This is my single favorite Super Bowl city. I know Miami, has been, it's 11. They've had 11 too. It's so spread out, so hard to get around. I am about the walkability.
Yes.
In a city. Can you walk to the stadium? Can you walk to the arena, convention center, all the hotels? New Orleans is perfect. Now, if you tell me you want to upgrade the stadium, I'll take that too.
They've tried year after year after year, and they talk about where they could put things.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar, New Orleans, a little bit landlocked. There's not a lot of room here to expand, so it's kind of stuck with where they are. I always like going to games in the Dome. I realize it doesn't have the bells and whistles that all the new stadiums do, and I fully understand that. But maybe it's just the charm that I've grown up going to games here. But the city is one of my favorites in the country.
It's Super Bowl perfect. It really is. You could have it here. I was just saying, like Indianapolis had it one year, right? And it was perfect. It was also great. People super nice. Hotels closed. Can walk everywhere. I'm all about that. Next year's Santa Clara. It's nowhere near San Francisco.
Correct.
You know what I mean? It's sort of boom. The stadium just pops up there. Boom, right? So this is one of my favorites. I've never sat in a seat in the Superdome here. It's always been like the press box or broadcast, and so I'm sort of looking forward to being a fan on Sunday. That could be kind of cool too.
Yeah, you're going to be in there in a seat?
Yeah, I don't have a ticket right now. You got any extra tickets?
I don't have any extra tickets.
Nothing on you?
I also don't have $4,000 sitting right in my pocket to sit in the nosebleeds.
I keep hearing the prices are coming down because nobody can afford the hotel rooms. Since I'm not paying for the hotel room, I thought I might spend it on a ticket. So.
There you go. Well, that sounds good. Where are you on the spectrum of we're watching history with Reed and Mahomes, and I'm kind of sick of the Chiefs. Where are you on that spectrum?
I'm probably in the middle, you know, in terms of if I got to be here, then I want to see greatness. I want to see history. My kids will be watching, but I want to be able to tell my grandkids, that I saw a team win 3 Super Bowls in a row for the first time. I lived through, the Tom Brady greatness, the dynasty, and everything like that, so able to tell my kids about that. But the next chapter on that is Mahomes and the Chiefs, and we should celebrate greatness.
Yep.
I get the overkill. Can we get some new stories? I think we went through that with the Patriots. We've seen it with the Yankees and the Celtics and all the great dynasty teams. It comes with that territory. So the storyline I'm tired of is the officiating storyline.
Yeah, I'm out on that.
I'd like to get away from that, and I'm really concerned about a fourth quarter call impacting the game. That's the league's worst nightmare, about the only thing that could go wrong here.
And Kelsey brought it up this week, so I can't believe y'all are putting any stock into that. Do we really think that the NFL is calling people saying, make sure the Chiefs win?
No.
There's no way to pull that off.
There's no fixed, there's no script. You want to call it coincidence. Look, great play. You create your own great luck, right? I mean, some of that is skill and talent, but the breaks have seemed to go their way a lot. And let's just hope it doesn't come down to that in the fourth.
They're pretty good. I mean, where were you putting Reed and Mahomes in the pantheon at this point? I was talking to the voice of the Chiefs back on Monday, and saying, look, he's one away from Noel, and I don't think he's going to hang it up tomorrow. I think he wants to ride this out with Patrick, and he's still doing a great job.
No, I think Andy's already said he's coming back.
He did say that.
Committed, contractually wise. Listen, he wants to keep Spags around. It seems like he's going to keep Spags too. For whatever reason, doesn't get another head coaching opportunity. We do the Mount Rushmore thing. It's always a lot of fun, right? Lombardi, Belichick, Shula, right? I guess there's no argument on those three, and then maybe Andy's four, right? Am I missing somebody obvious?
Noel is,
Chuck
there.
Noel, yeah.
I mean, I don't think Tom Landry's going to make that
Right.
case. So, yeah, certainly we'll see how Sunday goes, but it makes a ton of sense. And on the flip side of that, I've kind of said this all week. Like, Jalen Hurts was really good at Alabama, not quite good enough to keep his job. Tua took it. And then he was really good at Oklahoma, not quite good enough to keep up with LSU and the Joe Burrow team. He was really good 2 years ago in the MVP discussion, not quite good enough to win it. He can flip that on Sunday and be good enough. And I think the Eagles are going to win.
Yeah. Look, it's a coin flip game. Everybody I've talked to thinks it comes down to a late field goal either way, and most people think if it goes that way, it's Mahomes who leads the field goal drive. Being in this business, I feel like I've been able to see Jalen Hurts grow up, man. At Alabama early on, he was not good. I mean, he could run the ball, handle the ball, but every pass seemed to be a challenge his freshman year. I was at that game also, loses his job to Tua at halftime and all that. To see him progress, I've really enjoyed his story. Highest paid NFL quarterback, annual salary this season. Mahomes has the longer deal, but for one season, it's Hurts. He doesn't really make mistakes. He's smart. He's cool. The bright lights are not too bright for him. And the fact he still has on his phone, right, that screensaver picture walking through the Chiefs confetti after the last time, that tells you something about him. So, to me, I think I give the edge still to Kansas City. But, again, it's the slightest of edges. Nobody be surprised if Barkley, runs through the Chiefs' defense and they win.
Do you have a pick?
Yeah, I'm going to take Kansas City close, man. I mean, and I say close, it could be a 1 point. Vegas has it at 1 or 1.5. They got a lot of smart guys out in the desert.
They do.
There. They usually get this right. It feels like a 1 point kind of game. Certainly a one possession. No way a team wins by 10. I just don't see that happening here. What
you got to eat when you're in New Orleans? What's the spots you got to make? What's an item you've got to get eaten?
So I'm a tourist. I did the Café du Monde yesterday.
Sure.
I'm not ashamed by it either.
It's great.
It's great, right.
I'm not going to go out of my way because I live down here, but it's good.
And I like strong coffee, and I drink it black, too. I'm not adding any. But it's like in Buffalo, you don't go to Anchor Bar for wings, okay?
Sure.
That's really touristy. But if it's great, it's great. So that Desi Vegas Steakhouse, love that place. GW Fins, right? Is that GW Fins?
Right.
Yeah, hit that spot. Again, this is my single favorite Super Bowl city. I'm not saying that because I'm with you guys now. I'll say it on every station I go on. I'm not even sure it's close, but it's the best here.
Can you believe, based on the early Super Bowls that you went to, that this is what it is? Because this is new for us, and the size of scale of this. LSU is our number one team that we cover, and then the Saints are 1A.
Yep.
So we've done national championship games before.
Yeah.
We've never been to the Super Bowl, and now it's down the road, so we're here. This is a national championship game about times 30.
Yeah. And look, the NFL, for all the college love, and there are so many more programs and therefore so many fans, the NFL is just, it's amazing. There's some kind of crazy stat out there. It's like 75% of NFL fans have never been to an NFL game.
Wow.
Right? Because you think about how spaced out the franchises are. In college, there's a college in every city, right? Every suburb has a college you can go to, you can get to. Maybe not a big conference, but there's college football everywhere. The NFL's so spread out. Obviously expense, season tickets, those kinds of things. The NFL, they've just figured it out. They're going to add an 18th game for sure, and why wouldn't they lose a preseason game and all that stuff? They don't make too many mistakes in the NFL office on Park Avenue.
They're doing okay based on the status right here. Steve, we're going to let you go. Thanks so much for your time.
Okay.
Hope you get in the stadium on
Thanks
Sunday.
for having me. Yeah, hope
He's
so.
Steve
Might
Levy,
sneak in. Yeah.
ESPN veteran Steve Levy, and we appreciate a little bit of time here on this Friday. We'll step aside. One more segment to go for us. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is the website. Look, insurance, as I tell you just about every day, is not the most fun thing to talk about. Whenever I mention insurance to somebody, well, it's ridiculously expensive. And that can be true. But you never know when you're going to need it, whether it's a hurricane, lawsuit, car accident, cyber attack, which people don't even realize sometimes that they can be really expensive. You're going to want your policy to read correctly and respond correctly. The time to think about that is not after it happens. And at the Highland Insurance Group, they will take care of you on the front end. That's how they win business. That's how they keep business, because they're experts technically, and they can make sure that their clients are protected. It's the Highland Insurance Group. Jonathan Carver and his team do a fantastic job. Check them out at highlandig.com. They're in Baton Rouge. They can service you statewide. It's the Highland Insurance Group, highlandig.com.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
There's never been a better time to catch a John Deere deal from the crew of Sunshine. Ask us about our low monthly payment options on our tractor packages, and let the good times roll. With equipment strong enough to power one of the world's largest celebrations, we've got your needs covered too. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details. Offer ends March 5th, 2025.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
We're closing up shop here. It's been an incredible week on Radio Row. Shout out to the folks at LeBear's Baton Rouge for making it happen. And we're finishing with the conversation I've been looking forward to all day long, is with Troy Jones of Status Pro VR. Troy, thanks so much for the time. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure. You've been here all week?
Yeah. I got in Tuesday night. It's a marathon, man, so I just try to, save as much energy as I can, but enjoy bumping into people you see every year. It's a culmination to a great NFL season, and it's always awesome to chat with people like you about what we're doing.
So we want to talk about what you're doing, which is Status Pro VR. It's virtual reality. And my understanding, and we'll certainly get into it, is that quarterbacks are using this for some training. And I have seen Dan Orlovsky use this on ESPN to kind of break down defenses, which was, to me, I'm a novice football guy. Like, I understand statistics and whatever. I don't know how to break down a cover 3. I don't know what what blitzes look. I don't. That's beyond me. And for him to start getting into the weeds about reads and all that kind of stuff has been fascinating to me. So when you started with this project, what was kind of your goal? Was it for the quarterback development? Was it for the breakdown for the media? I mean, what was the idea?
So great question. So me and my co-founder Andrew Hawkins are both former athletes. He played 7 years in the NFL. I was a Division I quarterback. And originally, when I first started in VR, XR, we built a training product to help athletes train. So the original intent was, again, being a former quarterback, like, how do we help guys get reps? How do we help people improve at their sport, right? We spent so much time, so many years, in this space as players, to be able to go into our professional career contributing into that was interesting. And then what we would notice is when we would put the headset on people, they would have a ton of fun. Players didn't want to take it off. They were celebrating and then just enjoying it. So we said, man, we should make this a video game so fans can now see what it's like to be their favorite athletes, right? So we obviously did the training, launched a gaming product, and then we just started thinking about how do we innovate sports as a whole. So when we would watch broadcasts, to your point, a guy like Dan Orlovsky spent so much time trying to educate fans on what it's like to be the quarterback and what's happening on the field. And we thought, like, hey, if we use our game, instead of watching film, you can show people literally what the players are seeing from their perspective, and that, to your point, that'll bridge the gap for people who may not have played the game or may not fully understand the intricacies of the sport. So when we launched it, obviously we had to get with the NFL and get with ESPN, and they understood and could see the vision, but they weren't sure. So the first segment, man, was a hit. People loved it, and to your point, everyone wants more content, but then also more different types of content leveraging the tool, and there's a lot of interest around that. But this idea of educating fans and helping people understand the game is, as two guys who played it, we couldn't wish for anything, different or better than that, just because it's truly helping drive the game forward that we love so much.
It's been awesome. I'm told that Jaden Daniels is a guy that's been involved in using virtual reality for his training. Obviously, we're here in Baton Rouge, so we know him very well, and he's obviously doing great things. What can you tell us about that side of who's going to be using this? Is this something that's going to be universally accepted?
In my opinion, I think all athletes eventually, even beyond football, will learn and have some type of experience within VR just to simulate reps. But to your point, a lot of teams, quarterbacks were kind of the origin of starting, because they have to know everything, right? So they have to know coverages, they have to know fronts, they have to make checks. So a lot of companies that got into the space when we first got into it were focused on that position. Our differentiator was, how do we leverage the tracking data, recreate the plays as they've happened, and have any player use it, right? So we have teams using it on the special team side, the defensive side of the ball, which really set us apart. And I think that going forward, every team is going to be utilizing this, and eventually every position.
I want to talk about the video game side of this, but one question for me, just as a bit of a nerd, like I'm a baseball guy.
Okay.
Can you see an application of this with a hitter tracking breaking balls from somebody and that kind of thing? I mean, is that something that, and like how far in the future could that potentially be?
I mean, there's baseball companies right now trying to, doing that in terms of helping players get visual reps of different pitches and what they look like. Again, as tracking data across all these leagues continue to advance. I mean, first of all, baseball, I'll say this publicly, like baseball has the most sophisticated tracking system. It's such an analytical sport and has been for years. So they were the first to truly universally push that technology. So to your point, in baseball, you're certainly going to see it, and it's already exists in some areas. And then I think as tracking data continues to catch up in all sports, like I said, that is going to be a part of the game. Anything where you need to get a mental rep of, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, fighting, whatever it is, of where it's seeing something from that first person perspective.
Is interesting.
You're gonna use this tech.
We're chatting with co-founder and CEO Troy Jones of Status Pro, talking virtual reality. You mentioned the gaming side of this. Where are we in that process, and what's coming?
Yeah, so our flagship product launched in 2022. It was the first ever fully licensed NFL game, fully licensed sports game in VR. So we're humbled and excited to be the leader in that space. Again, it's called NFL Pro Era. You can get it in the MetaQuest store. Right now, you can play as the quarterback or on defense. So you can throw touchdowns and catch picks. It's fun parts of the game. But going forward, really going to drill into the experience of these highlights, right? So if you think about sports and fandom and where it's going, so much of the game is consumed in highlights because, the younger generation isn't sitting down watching full games. The older generation obviously does, but as a way to meet in the middle, it's amazing to allow someone to not only see a highlight, but see it from the first-person perspective, then potentially replicate that play, right? So I think for Status Pro, we're trying to find this unique intersection between gaming and media to where even if you're not a hardcore gamer, we immerse you in a highlight to see what it looks like from that player's perspective, and then you just try it, right? Yeah. Like, it's one thing to see it, like, oh, this is cool. Let me see if I can do it, right? And then score you and gamify that, and I think that that's really going to be something that is unique to XR, the space we're in, and really innovate sports and be a preferred method for how fans want to experience the sport.
That's awesome stuff. I know you're a football guy, former college athlete. You got a pick for the game on Sunday?
I do. Obviously, that's been the talk of the town this week. My heart obviously is going with the Eagles. Okay. First of all, I have thought the entire season they're the most complete team. Yeah. I think the front seven is strong, the back end is strong, offensive line is strong, running back is great. Jalen has done an amazing job. Obviously, they're going up against the juggernaut and the Kings of the Mountains, and I think Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo are going to make sure the guys are in position to succeed. But if the Eagles play their game, I think they can pull it out. But again, as long as Pat Mahomes is on the other side, you never know. But I'm gonna go with it. With the Eagles.
It's crazy because I've asked a lot of people that question. Obviously, in 5 days of doing shows, it's almost a universal answer. Like, I think the Eagles are better, but I can't pick against them. I'm taking the Chiefs. Like, that's been like everyone's default answer.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick against them. No, I'm gonna go Eagles. I don't have a score prediction, but what I will say is I do think I think they jump out early. And I think that they didn't, the Chiefs kind of make it close, but I think the Eagles are able to just fend them off a little bit at the end. And again, it's because Saquon's going to be able to bring it home. That's my prediction.
He's a bad dude. He is Troy Jones, co-founder, CEO of Status Pro, which is an exciting application on many different levels. We appreciate a little bit of time.
No, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
We're wrapping things up. That's it for us on the Hunt Palmer Show. Got about 1 minute left to go, and I want to take that minute to thank everybody that made this possible. Certainly our higher-ups at Guarantee Media who made that a possibility, made the decision to send us here, the folks at LeBear's Baton Rouge who have helped us make this possible as well, the entire production team on site from Bo to Rivers to Alondra, obviously to Jordan and back in the studio, Beck, Cassie, all those, and Taylor today that have made it a possibility. It's been a ton of fun for us here, and it's been really eye-opening to spend our first Super Bowl week here in New Orleans. If you missed any of our shows, wherever you want to listen, you can find it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you find your sound, you can find us. It's been a busy show. If you missed any of it, again, check it on demand. My pick is the Philadelphia Eagles. We're back talking about it on Monday. Matt's about to drive you home on AFR. I'm out of here. I'm going to go home. It's been a fun week. Y'all have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday with the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.